Hey, what's up? I'm Gazbot, and this is Free Comic Book Day 2018.
Hey, what's up? I'm Gazbot, creator of the Horror A4, and tomorrow is Free Comic Book Day. I'm sitting on the floor of my garage. Why? Because tomorrow is New Comic Book Day. Sorry. Tomorrow is Free Comic Book Day, which is May the 5th. It's the first Saturday of May every year. Almost every comic store participates, and you basically can get free comics at the very least. Some you get more, some you get less, some have other entertainment, free giveaways, raffles, etc. I'm going to Elusive Comics and Games here in Santa Clara, California. Well, I'm not in Santa Clara, but I will be tomorrow. And I will be doing my usual, selling prints, doing sketches, selling buttons, my comic, etc. I will be having the best sale I've ever had. I will be having a buy one, get one free sale on all of my prints, and every comic book I'm selling will be $1 off cover price. What? Pretty good, right? Also, I will be doing my normal commission, sort of convention-style sketches, but if you are a kid under 10, or if you bring a kid under 10, I will be doing a free head sketch quick on a little index card. So, yeah, it's pretty much the best time to see me if you're ever going to see me, because you could potentially get free art for children, and at the very least, buy one, get one free, or $1 off cover price comics. Not too shabby. But what am I doing now? Well, I got these new button cases. Well, they're not button cases. They're for, I don't know, fishing tackle or Flambeau, Zeus. They're supposed to be like rust resistant or whatever, which I don't care about. So I guess they're for screws and stuff. But a pack of 3 was $10. And I have for a while had one good pin, button case, not this. And I've been looking for another one. I bought one at one point, but it was too big and unwieldy, and I more or less use it for storage. So I'm hoping one or more of these can replace that. And yeah, so even though it's only the afternoon Friday, I've already begun preparing. I was there yesterday, Thursday, because I teach a class, and I brought my table and left it. But the less I have to get ready, bring over tomorrow, the better. So I'm preparing now, loading up the car. I'm going to build some towers and stuff, because I also need to be there by 9 or earlier. I'm going to try to get there by 8:45, actually. And I live, depending on traffic, half hour to an hour away. So I'll have to leave by, let's say, 8, which means I'll have to get up by like 7:30. And I don't get up early normally because I don't go to bed early. So the more I can get done now, the better. Anyway, moving on. Now, this is the case. This is like my good case, which I have not found made anymore, and I have not found larger. What makes it good is it has these dividers that don't fall out. They stay put, because a lot of them, the dividers just fall all over the place. Also, it is actually a good size, although I need a second one or a bigger one. It's adjustable a little bit, but actually, is it even? It's adjustable in that I could pull some out, but, the segments are the size they are, but that's perfect for putting about 6 buttons of each in. Also, it's easy to present horizontally. So in other words, this would be facing people looking at the table, and there's rows here. This one, as I was putting it together, I realized it's sort of set up to not be horizontal. The row wouldn't go like this. It would go more like that, which isn't terrible, but then I have this big flappy thing hanging on the side instead of putting a nice little sign or, whatever to keep it out of the way. Also, these pockets are much deeper, which is good and bad. It's good because I won't get so many people knocking them out of the box and mixing up the different sections, but for kids and stuff, it might be hard for them to get their fingers in here, so I'm not sure. Now, the previous large box I had was this one. Now, what's good about this one is that it opens and this lays flat. So the way I would do it is I'd usually put something else like that, and I'm saving table space. This one doesn't lay flat, and I thought I could pop it off, but it's sort of connected where I actually have to break it, so now I'm not sure about that. I could break it off and just rubber band the top on, but, again, I'm losing functionality that I wasn't planning on losing. This one, the problem is these little dividers keep falling out, and it's just really flobbly, and it's not very good. So this I mostly use for storage and restocking, and this is my main one, and then I have a couple little things like that. So I'm going to have to rethink this a little bit. A while, and as you can see, it's a mess. I normally have a table in here, but that table is at the comic store already. I ended up using the new cases after all, and what I did was I figured out that I could pull the top off without breaking it. I was wrong about that, so I don't know how good it'll be to pull it off and on constantly, but at least for a few shows it'll work. And then I made these twice as wide. I could make them thinner, but yeah, so this is my setup. I'm gonna have this, and then I'll have this one. And this is all Godzilla, nothing but Godzilla, King Kong, but he was in a Godzilla movie. And then these is like, actually, you know what? I'm probably gonna organize it like that. And then this is the horror, this is Power Rangers, this is miscellaneous, this is Ultraman. And then Ultraman leads into Godzilla, so it's kind of themed. And then I'll probably have my horror stuff on this side and my everything else stuff on this side. Theoretically, it's a setup I'm working on, but at least I have this part kind of parceled out. And then I have my extras in the bags over there, so I'll probably just throw that box in the car or something in case I run out and need to restock. All right, well, I'm a bit of a mess. I decided to assemble one of my towers, these things, which I keep saying I'm gonna upgrade or switch from, but I have not yet. But I wanted to build one and put it in the car, and I used zip ties like these little guys to hold it together so it won't fall apart, and this will save me time because building that whole thing takes a while. It takes time and effort, and I get all sweaty, and my fingers get delicately hurt because I'm a little baby. But anyway, so more of that I could do, again, less I have to do tomorrow. But as I was building it, I built it 4 high. I usually build them 5 high. And I couldn't fit it in the car, and I was trying to put it along the back seat, and then I remembered when I had previously done this, I have to put the seats down and lay the whole thing down. I have a Honda Fit for reference, and I had a bunch of stuff in the back seat, a lot of stuff that I had to donate to Goodwill, recycling at Best Buy, some returns to Target, things like that. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go run these errands to empty the trunk so I could do this, which I did. But I forgot my wallet. So there was also, I needed to buy a few things while I was out, and basically, I was able to do the returns to Target because luckily I happened to put the receipts in my pocket, not my wallet. So there you go. And I had like an emergency $20 bill in the car. So I was able to buy myself a coffee, decaf. And I also was able to buy a card I needed for a wedding we're going to Sunday, even though I forgot my wallet. So that worked out. But then I needed to buy some office supply stuff, and I don't have the money for that. So I'm gonna go back out again later. But when I was leaving, I actually also like got yelled at by somebody, like this really angry dude who, like, I don't know if he wanted to fight me or what, but like, he's like, you know, what are you, stupid? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. You thought you were gonna hit me? And I didn't know what he was talking about. I pulled out of my driveway and I looked and there was no one there. And then I drove like the half a block to the end of my street, nobody behind me. Looked to the right, there's a guy on a bicycle. And I remember really clearly because it was a guy on a bicycle with his hands behind his back, kind of doing the, I don't have to hold the handlebar thing. And so I noticed him, I'm like, well, I guess I'll wait till after this guy. And on the left, no one was coming. So then I turned and I see a black car coming the other way. And he's driving kind of weird and honking at somebody. And then about less than a minute later, because the whole trip was like 3 minutes, if that, to get to the light next to my house. And he pulls up kind of behind me and I hear a clunk. And I thought I ran something over, and I still do, but I'm like, maybe he hit my car, but it wasn't like with his car, like with his fist. I don't know. I just heard a noise, and I'm like, what was that? And so I kind of slowed down for a second, and at that moment, he pulled up next to me. Now, all this other stuff is sort of in hindsight that this guy was probably angry at me the whole time. And he pulls up next to me and does that, and my window is down and he's all like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what? And I thought it was because I hit the brakes and I didn't go, I was going like 10 miles an hour and then I slowed down. So it wasn't, even if it was right on my butt, he wouldn't have hit me. But I'm like, maybe he almost hit me because he wasn't paying attention and he's mad at that, which would have been his fault, but whatever, I'm not gonna get into a fight about it. So I was like, oh, I think I might have hit something, so I slowed down to see. And he's like, what are you, stupid? You almost hit me, blah, 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 and just keeps going on. And it didn't seem like he was like, you stopped short, I almost hit you, but I'm trying to spin it around like you almost hit me. Or you veered maybe a half a foot to the left when you slowed down. And maybe, like, nothing I did in that moment really seemed like it would have caused an accident. If anything, because it started off, he was like, what are you doing? And that seemed somewhat reasonable, like, oh, sorry if that seemed weird, this is what I'm doing. But he kept going on, like, what are you, stupid, you almost hit me, and going on and on. So either he's just crazy. He could just be crazy and looking for a fight. He did have a wife, a girlfriend, a sister, somebody in the car with him, which always makes me feel like, well, he can't be completely insane because there's somebody with him and they're letting him drive. But anyway, so the best I could figure is he thought I was someone else. I was driving a blue Honda Fit, which is a very common car where I live, and maybe like a block back, some blue Honda Fit cut him off or almost hit him or something, and he just got mixed up and thought I was that person. But I'm happy that he eventually was like, and just like drove away, and like, because I didn't want to get into a physical fight, and I didn't want to be in an argument, But I was so like, and I keep thinking about it, like, did I somehow do this? But I don't know how I physically could, because again, the trip was like 2 short blocks from my house. Like, I could almost see the light from my front yard. And so like, I couldn't have done anything except for when I stopped short in quotes, I didn't even. And that, if he was that angry about that, it makes no sense. So again, he could just be a crazy rage monster, but I feel like it probably was someone else that did it. but I wish I could have communicated more. That's my point. I'm glad he left and it didn't become more of a thing, but I kind of wanted to be like, hey man, let's figure this out. Like, did someone cut you off? When did this happen? Where did it go? But I think because I was so sure I didn't do it, and because I was so like taken aback, like, what are you talking about? And I had my sunglasses on too. I've been in these situations before where someone's yelling at me, and either I'm like, no, you're the idiot, you know, and like yell back, or I'm like, oh no, I did make a mistake, or oh, this guy's gonna beat me up, or you know, like, but it wasn't that situation at all. I literally, like, without trying to be, I was like the coolest guy ever. Because he's like, what do you think you're doing? And I'm like, turn the volume, like, what's up? And he's like, what are you, an idiot? You almost hit me. What do you think you're doing? I'm like, oh, I think there was something in the road. I slowed down. What's the, you know, how you, because you blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't, you know, like I didn't show any emotion. There was no smiling. There was no anger. There was no fear. I was just like, hey man, whatever's going on with you is going on with you. Which kind of made him angrier, but I also think he's like, what do I do? And just drove away. So I really hope I didn't do something wrong, and I'm 99.9% sure I didn't. But if I did, I was the most frustrating jerk in the world. But I don't know, this is one of those things that when I hope I die, I will die. I don't hope I die. But when I die, if there's some sort of afterlife, I don't care about God, heaven, any of that stuff. I just want answers to things like this. Like, what was the truth? Did I cut him off in some way I didn't realize? Was he angry at someone else? Was he just crazy? Was he really angry that I slowed down a little bit when I hit something potentially on the road? What was the truth of this situation objectively? I would love to know. All right, back to work. Aha, so this just came in the mail. I have the Horror A4 issue 1 and issue 2 that I'm going to bring. This year in shows, I'm going to try to push my comics a bit more. Last year, I just had the one comic. Well, technically I had Kid Switch, but I only had like 3 issues left of that. So I have the Horror issue 1 and 2, which is my book. Then I have new copies of Kid Switch, which I traded with the author of that. I did the art, but I'm not the creator. So now I have those 3 books. And the 100s, the group I am a part of that is the 100-Day of Making Comics Challenge. If you don't know what it is, look it up. I have videos. Everybody has videos. It's great. It's a challenge. It's a group. Do it. And meanwhile, we put out a book, Life in Space. I say we. I'm part of the group. I wasn't one of the editors. There were several editors, chief among them, Mike Emirates. But it is done. I have a pinup in it, and I did a trading card and a few other things. But it's more, I'm a small part of a bigger group. But as part of this, I got a bunch of copies, so I will have 4 books that I'm involved in to sell starting tomorrow. Let's look at the package. This is what you would get if you backed it. Now, I am going to have more issues because I'm a creator, but everything else everyone else would get. What is this? This is always interesting. Sometimes it's shredded pieces of your own comic, but this actually looks like pages of someone else's comic. I'll look at these later. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Okay. Swirling around states. Tasting with vibrating. All right, enough of that. All right, so here's the card set. That's pretty cool. And these are really well designed. They really remind me of the 90s Marvel comic cards. I'll look at those more in a moment. Here is, and this was done through Kablam, print on demand, which, you know, we had issues with, and I've had personal issues with, but hopefully they did a good job with this run at least. There's a print also, but that came separately. Okay, so everybody got, I thought there was a bookmark. Oh, maybe that's in here still, a little poster. I forget what's even in here. It's so exciting. There's so many bonuses. Who can know it all? Let's look at these cards. It'd be hard to display all of them, but this is sort of the cover sheet, and this is a combined image of like a little bit of everybody's creation, and then there's the names of the creators in the back. And then some people, like here's Kevin Cross's Monkey Mod, where I don't know if this was a cover or just a pinup he did. And then like Scott Circlin, he's on theme. Keep It 100 did original art for the card. And there, here's mine. I just sort of did art for my own book. This is original art I did, but I just wrote my own title. And then I think this is Johannes Vick, did just a character with no text. So everybody had like a little bit of a different take on it. Sci-Fi Guardian Frogs. So some is just art, some is art related to the book, some is art related to 100 Days of Comics. There's Space Cat, and you know, I don't want to go through all these, but you get the idea. But honestly, the front art that the various artists did, including myself, is all fine and good, but I'm much more in love with the backs, where, again, here's like the little image and the stats, which are all different: drawer, philosopher, contortionist, stand-up comic, and everybody, I think, picked their own, so they're all different. Here's Holly Brown, not sleeping, being an edgelord, etc. So I like these, yes. Oh, Linwood, get over there. Linwood Brown, everybody. The paper. So apparently the book I have pieces of is called Hillcrest by Jonathan Zemeck, Matt Smith, and Chris Rogers. I don't know how they would feel about me getting kind of a half version of their book. I mean, I'm mentioning it here, so free advertising, but like, I don't know, that's weird. I've never got that before. It's usually, even if it was that, it'd be shredded, so I couldn't tell what it was. More like the stuff at the bottom of the box here. That could have been comic, I don't know. All right, okay, oh, so there's extra. Okay, so here's some Kablam thing that, I don't know why they're advertising. Oh, I guess it's Indy Planet. Who cares? Anyway, there's the bookmark. Same same, I keep wanting to say conglomerate, but that's not right, combined artwork as the top card. So this is sort of like the official image for Life in Space, not the cover, but the sort of like, if it was at a bookstore or Scholastic, that's, well, I say that, but then I'm making stuff up. Who cares? I'm just excited about all this stuff. Because here's an actual poster. I'm doing a bad job here. That's pretty cool. I'm going to hang that somewhere. And this is Kevin Cross's artwork. He did the cover and a bonus story inside as well. And he, of course, is the founder of 100 Days of Making Comics, as well as the creator of Monkey Mod and Friends. Here's the other poster. Yeah, a lot of these were stretch goals from the Kickstarter. So well done, everybody that backed it and got us all this free stuff. Because as a creator, I also get the free stuff. You know, you guys as backers get it, but you helped us too, because we weren't going to make these for ourselves. Very nice. Yeah, I dig this. I love the Monkey Mod. Into space! Very cool. All right, now let's take a quick look at the book. Book. Oh, it feels nice. It's got an interesting texture to it. It's glossy, but it has like a, I don't know, a tooth, for lack of a better term. Once again, Kevin Cross. I guess, I don't know if he did the back as well, or if Mike or somebody repurposed some of the artwork. Yeah, because that planet there is these planets here, and then the rockets and stuff. It's definitely repurposed artwork. I don't know if he designed it or Mike or somebody designed it, but it matches very well with the old creased spine and stuff to make it look like an old, you know, sci-fi novel that's been kicking around forever, Life in Space. The 100's number one, and it's number 100, indicating that maybe there'll be number 2, and maybe there will be, but it was so much work, I don't think anybody's in a hurry to do a second one. Not the comic work, but the printing and the Kickstarter and everything else. The blacks look really nice. I'm gonna sniff it. Yeah, it smells pretty good. Let's see. There's a lot of cool stories in here, and I don't know if I forget if they put the pinups in the back or they mixed them in all through. And everybody's got a bio page, kind of a more expanded version of the card, or different, I should say, not expanded, with social media links. Yeah, this whole thing's pretty awesome. So if this looks cool to you, you should definitely check out 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge. Not as a reason like, oh, I get to be in another book, but more that if you commit to making yourself an artist and a professional, and you put the time in and the effort in, you do challenges like this, and you prove that you're willing to put the work in, good things can happen. Maybe there'll be another book, maybe you get to be a part of it, but that's not the reason to do it. You don't count on things like that. You just, you know, do it for your own edification, your own improvement, and if nobody else puts you in a book, then you put your own book out. Or you do both. I don't know. The point is, do the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge. Okay. Anyway, that's that. Good job, us, you, everyone. Well, I'm glad I started doing this as early as I did. It's almost 6 o'clock. I've been at this most of the day. I built 2 towers, zip-tied them, got them in the car. I have the hand truck in the car, but I've been going through prints because I realized I hadn't updated my portfolio in a while, like my portfolio of prints for sale, that is, since I've gotten some new prints. So I had to take some out, put some in, move some to clearance, etc. And I'm going to need to go to the store. I was going to go to the store anyway to get some new display stuff and some index cards, but I'm going to have to get a new book if I don't have one somewhere for some of my smaller prints that are the 9x6 size, which I now have a whole lot of, and there isn't a section at all in this book, so I'm going to have to do that. You can see I have the pins pretty much sorted, and this is my print box, and I have some bags over here, and everything's kind of in progress. I'm not worried because I started so early, but I still have hours of work to go, plus a trip to the store. So I'm glad I started when I did. So I'm gonna work a little bit more in here, then make dinner, which is a little bit early, but it's rush hour right now, so I don't wanna go to the store. So I'll work a little bit more in here, have dinner, then go out after dinner, post-rush hour, pre-stores closing. Yeah, okay, and then finish up. I kind of skipped some steps. I worked some more, I had some food. I ran out to Michael's. I wanted to find a portfolio that would fit my 9x6 or my 8x8 prints. Look at my crazy hair. I'm like Eraserhead. Anyway, I didn't. I got an 8.5 by 10 or 11, which was the smallest they had, which will work fine for my purposes. Luckily, I recommend this always if you go to Michael's. You look online, they almost always have a 50% off one item coupon, 99% of the time, and they did this time, so I got it for half price, which leads me to believe everything at their store should be priced to half price if they could afford to give something away just about every time I go there at half price. Anyway, however, they didn't have any good displays, like stand tops. Like I want a tiered display to be able to put several original drawings or several headshots, prints, or something, and everything I find is always for one thing, or it is for 3, but it's not tiered where you can actually see them very well. It'd just be like a line on top of a brochure or something. So I tried Office Max. They didn't have anything either. I'm going to Target now for something else. I'll look in here as well, but I also need to withdraw money so that I will have change tomorrow because I will be my own cashier. I'm back in the garage, no luck at Target, so I've been filling the book with the 9x6 6x9s. 6x9s, 9x6, doesn't make a difference.
I should peel this sticker off. Oh, satisfying. So I got the 8.5x11, and I realized that these are 6x9s, and they have a 9x12 portfolio, which I could have done sideways and had two next to each other, which I might eventually have to do, because right now, this is enough room for me, but I have I have more headshot prints that I have not ordered yet, and I plan on doing a lot more for the shows coming up. But anyway, I'm starting with Voltron, but it's mostly Power Rangers in here. So I tried to have, you know, the heroes first that I have done, and then it transitions to the villains. Now, when I have full teams and stuff, I'll try to keep them together. But I do think this presentation works pretty well. It's not exact size, but I think it's you know, slick looking. And all I was doing is taking each one. I have some Ultraman in the back and one Kamen Rider. What I do is I take each one and take some artist tape and take a little piece or two and stick it on the back. Stick it on the back like so. And then I fold it this way. So I'm actually touching the sticky part right now with my hand. So that, see? And then I'll slide it in and push it down, and that stays pretty well.
And if I do have to move it eventually, it won't destroy the book or the print. This book, by the way, was about a $12 book, but I got it for half price, so it was like $6.50. So even if this only works for a couple shows and eventually I have to upgrade something different, that's not the end of the world because it was $6.50. And, you know, I always have uses for these kind of books anyway.
Something else I'm doing that I've never done before, I don't know why. I have a real hard time with organizing my prints when I'm at a show. I usually just have a big old stack that I gotta dig through. It starts kind of like this. I tried to make this a filing system. It doesn't work. It just was a mess. So this is sort of the box I bring, and each bag has its own, you know, copies of each individual print. I kind of have my 11x17s and my 9x12s, and sizes grouped separately. There's the 8x8s. But I'd still have to rifle through them. So what I usually do is I pull these out and put them on the shelf.
A grid shelf unit I build behind me, which is another thing where I want to get rid of that, but if I do, I'm not sure how I'll do it, because digging through the boxes takes longer than just lifting them up, you know, because I make several piles of like, these are the Godzillas, these are the Power Rangers, etc. But one thing I've never done is really order them in the way they're in the book. So as I was putting these in the book, taking one off the stack and then putting it over here. So you can see Voltron's first, so then there's Voltron. Then I got Time Yellow and Robo Knight. And if I scroll down manually, analog, there's Time Yellow, Robo Knight. The next one's RPM Red, etc. So this will be in a stack, but I'll know, and these are, I'm gonna put in bags. So it won't be like 1,000 of these here. It'll be like 15 bags. And I'll know if I'm like, okay, this is page 7, 7th bag down, it'll be a little bit easier. All right, well, I'm basically done. I think it's 10:30, 11, something like that.
The floor is mostly empty. I have some extra cases. I left some prints, some pins. Got a huge box of postcards this time. I took a huge handful, but I got 1,000, I think, and I don't need that many. Basically, it's an ad for the horror, and then it has my social media stuff on the back. That
is so that I could have a giveaway handout to give to everybody, a kid, a person walking by. I could send it out with my Etsy orders. I could give it to everybody who buys something, everybody who doesn't buy something, who's interested. I won't be taking this guy with me because I'll be outside. I'm worried he'll get ruined. And also because a lot of times people are interested in finding my website or whatever, and I used to give out my business cards, which had my personal email and phone number, and I don't need to give that to every random person. It's different if somebody wants to hire me or do a commission or something, but to every just random person, I could give my social media stuff, and that's plenty.
So here you can see I'm all loaded up. I have 2 towers of 4 each, zip tied and put together. I've got some paper towels in case somebody spills, some tape in case I want to tape stuff to my table or just for repairs or whatever. Got a hand truck because where I'm going to park, I don't know how close it's going to be to where I'm going, and these boxes are heavy. I only have 3. This is comics. These are my comics that are published, as well as some blank covers and some backing boards and bags to put them in. That's extra pins. Those are the postcards I was talking about. This is all of my prints. That is bags, pins, other various things I'm going to need to put stuff together, credit card swiper, all that kind of stuff.
When I was at Target, I bought a pack of gum. I will have access to water and soda and drinks while I'm there for free, so I don't have to worry about bringing those. Upstairs, I have my backpack, which has, oh, I also have some Bristol in there, and I have index cards to do free sketches for kids. And I have my backpack that has some more of my art supplies and things that I'll bring separately tomorrow morning, as well as my case of Copic markers, which I'll bring separately tomorrow morning. So for tonight, I'm done. I need to shower, shave, maybe cut my hair, but that's it. I can start getting myself ready now that everything else is ready.
Bees? Who's he? What are you doing?
So it's the morning, it's Saturday, it's about 8 o'clock. I got up 7:45, quick, you know, kind of washed my face and got my Copics and filled up my backpack. Now I'm heading to the car. I went to bed around 2, so I got between 5 and 6 hours, which isn't great, but I don't feel as terrible as I thought I would. Still, I have a drive of at least a half hour, so I may or may not have some caffeine. I've been generally not having caffeine except when I feel it's necessary on a day when I haven't had enough sleep and I need to drive, something like that. So I don't know. I may or may not have caffeine. Hey, look at that. I'm in the car and I was able to adjust the orientation. Still a terrible angle, still got a big wheel in your face, but at least we're horizontal. I'm still not fully awake. It is 8:12, which means I've been up for about 28 minutes on the road already. I had wanted to get going a little before 8 so that I could stop and get some bagels and some kind of cool breakfast. Sorry for the potholes. And that didn't happen. I left on time. Basically, the way it works is artists, the store is opening at 8:45. People are going to line up however early they want. According to the people at Elusive Comics and Games in Santa Clara, California, which is where we're going, people sometimes line up as early as 7, which seems nuts to me. I guess there's some comics that there's limited amounts of that they run out of. I've never really had that problem because either I'm not looking for a specific comic or I'm working an event and I just get whatever I want at the beginning, which is what happened today. And I usually don't want every comic. So anyway, I'll get there, likely there will be a line and the store will be closed. They said the artists can show up anytime between 9 and 9:30, as long as they're all set up and ready to go by 10. We're gonna be set up outside, like there's a walkway that wraps around the shop to the back, and that's where we're gonna go. I wanna get there at 8:45, well I wanna get there before 8:45, originally so I can get breakfast. I don't think that's happening. I made myself a coffee, it's decaf, hopefully psychologically that'll wake me up. I have a granola bar with me. If I can find something better to eat, I will, but if not, I have that so I don't starve. So I want to get there in time to get out of my car, head over to the shop, and be there by 8:45 when it opens, so I can get my table out that I left there Thursday when I taught a class, so that I can have my pick, because it's first come, first serve, of the spots by the shop. And the funny thing is, I haven't done a free comic book day at this shop, or in fact in this way, where you're sort of working the line. So I think I want the corner spot near the front, and like they wrap people around the back. So this will kind of put me at the intersection of where the line bends, as well as across from the magic show, and you know, seemingly in the middle of everything, while at the same time being in the shade. This may or may not be a good choice, but this is the choice I want, and I want to have that option. So that's why I'm trying to get there as early as possible. So I'm not stopping for bagels, I'm not stopping for a coffee or anything like that. I'm just going to take the supplies I have with me. And as of now, looks like there's not a lot of traffic. It looks like it's going to be about a half hour-ish, which is nice, because normally it's more like an hour when I'm heading down. But that will put me there at, I think, like 8:39, 8:40. So I'll literally park, walk over to the store, start setting up. And what usually happens, because I try to get to shows early or set up the night before, is I'm in a mad dash to get everything ready, and then I sit and wait for a half hour to an hour for people to come. Or, you know, I then go get breakfast or something. Now, it's gonna be different this time because, again, theoretically, people are already there. And while the store won't be open, I could be open because I'm taking my own cash, my own credit card. So it could be a situation where I set up figuring, hey, I'm gonna walk over and get an egg sandwich or something, and people are like, hey, we want you to do a sketch, we wanna buy a thing, you know, and I'm not gonna say no, I'm not gonna turn away, you know, customers and money and people wanting to engage with me. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, I've got my sort of granola bar backup plan. So I'm the first artist here. I'm here before Perry. The store's still closed. There's like 5 or 6 people online, and I put up my 2 little towers in the area I want. And I was gonna bring more out, but there's no one here to keep an eye on it. Well, I guess there's a few customers, but they're not even next to it. So I'm gonna wait till Perry gets here so I can get my table, get my free comics, and then I could just be there and setting up. But until then, I don't think I want to bring any more out. I don't think people are likely to steal my cubes, but they might steal other things. All right, it's a few minutes to 9. I got the table from inside, set it up. I got my free comics, so I'm all good to go. I'm just gonna continue setting up, although I do need cashola, and looks like nothing's open yet, so not sure what to do about that. I have my grids out and my table out, and everything else fits on this one hand truck. It's 2 minutes to 9. Well, they had an ATM at the liquor store, which opens, well, it opened at least by 9, so I got cash. Luckily, it came out as 20s, and I bought a Propel, so I have change of a 20 at least.
Comics and Games, come on down. Our line has good stuff, and more awesome art, even more awesome art. Hi! And more people. And like people videoing me video. Gaz Gretzky.
What? Free Comic Book Day 2018. Huh!
Gaz also teaches our Thursday art classes. You can see now why you should sign up.
I did about 5 head sketch commissions. I only took a picture of 3. This one right here of a Harley sort of semi-suicide squad, a Deathstroke, and a Poison Ivy, which were both in the bag because I didn't think to take before. Yeah, it was fairly busy and good, especially in the beginning. And then it sort of kept up for a while. Through about lunchtime, and this is me taking a quick break inside. It's terrible camera work, but you can see the inside of the store was equally as busy as the outside. And they gave us free pizza and drinks, and I actually had someone cover my booth, so they treated us really well. And here I am coming back outside to my booth.
The end of the line. Amazing.
Hey, can you tell me about all this artwork here? How do you create this, sir?
I don't know. How do you create this, sir?
So it's about 1 o'clock. The lunch hour, it has died down, but it's been pretty busy this entire time. And I got free pizza and actually took a break, which I never do. So there's that. I've been doing free sketches, head sketches for kids under 10, which I've done before on index cards to keep it small and keep it simple. And usually, I guess it's like a 5x7 index card, just what you'd get for school. I never really thought about it. I bought some yesterday and I got lineless or blank or whatever, and I didn't think about it, but it's a thinner paper and it's smaller, which has worked out because I get them done a lot quicker. But this is an example of like what a kid would get. I do a quick pencil sketch under and then take like a fat black marker to make it look a little like a pop. And I've done a fair amount, not so much that my hands kill them or whatever, I don't know, 10, 20, but a lot of them led to people asking if I did commissions for, you know, more detailed work, or, you know, people over 10, and I have since done 5 head sketches for money, so that's nice. Sold a couple issues of my comic, sold an issue of Kid Switch, sold a couple copies of the 100's Life in Space Anthology, which I just got, so that's pretty awesome. And a couple sets of Ninja Turtle prints. It's been going good, and there's some cosplayers, and like I said, it's dying down now, but I think it might pick up again later.
There's the line. You can see, we can actually see the end of it. Previously, this was all filled here, and that's the farmer's market.
So I have my setup a little bit different. I had started doing this at the Merced Comic-Con, I think, where I build sort of a wall over me instead of behind me. And then I used some gaffer tape to hang down some prints from the top part, as well as some on the other grids because I ran out of binder clips. And then down on the right here, you can see I have an actual little comic section going where I have the 2 issues of the Horror, Kid Switch, and Life in Space. I have a display with some up, and by only using 4 comics, you can see them pretty decently. And I've started laying out piles that are not in bags and boards that people could pick up and look at and flip through, and it seems to be a little bit more engaging. They still weren't flying off the shelf, but I think it made people feel a little more comfortable grabbing them.
It's about 3 o'clock. Things have slowed down considerably. There is a tiny trickle of people that has dwindled to almost a stoppage, but I've made a few sales here and there. As I've been saying repeatedly today, I continually reinforce the idea that I have a cult following or a cult aesthetic, if I have one at all, whereas, you know, 15 people walk by, don't even look, and then the 16th person likes everything I did. And so it's tough because as long as there's one person, if they're that right person, it could change the whole day for me. But while it's 3 o'clock and I planned on staying till the end, and I still do, if you look, look, the sky has become slightly tinted with cloudage, but more importantly, the wind has been crazy and blowing things around and threatening to tear things down, which could end things prematurely. But meanwhile, there's a gentleman I should be looking at and talking to, and not my phone. It's about 3:30, 3:45. It continues to be slow-ish, but again, not dead. A few people keep wandering by. It continues to be windy, and it's starting to get, not cold, but cool. So once again, I feel like the weather might call it more than the lack of attendance.
It is 10 to 5, and as you can see, it is cleared out. My table mate that was here has left. The people selling jewelry there has left. I have one other fellow indie artist, writer, indie comic creator. He's a writer. Here, he just went out to his car, so I'm watching his table. There isn't actually a line anymore, which it might be the first time there was 0 line. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna do. I've sold a couple pins. Towards the end, I tend to sell like 1 pin, you know, because people are broke.
But yeah, towards the end, I tend to sell a pin or 2 because people want to look at the art, want to talk, have a good time, but are broke already, so I get a pin. But I did sell another set of turtle prints, so we will see.
So that is the end. I'm all packed up, as you can see. I did not film that. It is 7:33. It was officially over at 7. I started packing up a little bit before that. It was just me and one other creator stayed to the end, and there weren't a lot of people coming by, and some of the nighttime people started coming out, so I was like, let's close up. Plus, it's getting a little cold, and I'm hungry. So pack up always is quicker than set up. So I don't know, I didn't time it, but let's say 15, 20 minutes to pack it up and get it in the car. Good day, profitable day, sold a couple comics, sold some prints, definitely made some money, donated some money to the charity, Parents Helping Parents. Good times. We'll talk more when I get home and recap.
Hey, so I'm home. It's actually Monday night. I had a wedding and an auction to go to on Sunday. It doesn't matter. So let's recap a little bit. Was Free Comic Book Day 2018 a success? Yes. I recommend, well, I've always recommended Elusive Comics and Games. They've always treated me well. I teach there, I'm friends with the owner, but they're also a good store that takes care of their, both their customers and their employees, or at least from my experience. I don't know about the actual people that work there. They seem to be happy. They've been there a while. It can't be that bad. But as I said, they gave me free food. All the artists, all the volunteers, everybody got free food, got free drinks, got plentiful breaks. You know, just having somebody to watch my table is a big luxury, you know. They also didn't charge me to be there. It was, you know, they support local artists. Here, have some space. And then it's good for their customers because they get access to the artists. And what I did was, as I said before, I had this sale, and it's the best sale I've ever had. Sometimes, some shows, I'll say buy 2 prints, get 1 free. Usually that's the best deal you're going to get from me. But I was doing buy 1, get 1 free, and $1 off the cover price of the comics, which I never do because there's such a razor-thin margin on comics. But because I got a free table, because I have a good relationship with the store and the owner, and because it was Free Comic Book Day, I felt comfortable giving those discounts, and I still made a decent amount of money. If I had done a show where I had to pay for the table, I still would have made some money. I wouldn't have had a gangbusters day, but I would have, you know, the average table cost, I would have come out ahead. And I feel like even with the sale, I made what I would make at an average medium-sized show. Again, not a lot of money, but worth going out that day. You know, it's funny because when you break it down into hours, like, I don't know, did I make more? I made more than minimum wage, I guess, but it's hard to quantify it against like a normal job because I was there, you know, working from about 10 until 7. So that's 7, 8, that's 9 hours. But then there was a few hours of setup, takedown, travel, and then the day before all that getting ready, which usually getting ready doesn't take that long. That was sort of my getting ready for the new con season. So when you quantify it like that, was it worth it? Probably not. But as an artist, for the type of money you normally get doing these shows, it was absolutely worth it. And I gave out a lot of cards. I met a lot of people that had bought my work that I hadn't met before, or people that were interested in my work in the future. I sold a few comics. Again, never sell as many comics as I want, but any comic sale is more of a victory than 10 print sales, even though that's where I make all my money. And it was a good time. You know, I got to talk to the other artists, and even though I was outside, I was in the shade. So the whole thing went really well, and I was really happy, and hopefully I could do it again next year. I had done it like 3 years ago, and then the last 2 years, life intervened, and I wasn't able to do it. But I would be more than happy to do it every year. And the other thing is, which I didn't talk about yet, I, for the first time ever, did a sale on my Etsy store. Well, not the first time I ever did a sale on my Etsy store, but the first time I ever did a free comic book sale. So while I was hyping up, hey, I'm going to be at this store, and I'm going to have a sale, and come see me, and free sketches for the kids, blah, 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 blah. I said, and if you're not nearby, I'm doing a sale on my Etsy store. And like the Free Comic Book Day sale, it's the lowest price I'd ever done. I did 40% off everything on my store, which for prints is good, but for my books is even better, because basically it means I'm selling them for next to nothing. Like, I make almost no money on them at that point. But I want people to get them. I wanted to get out there. And I did make some sales on my Etsy store. Not a million, but more than I normally would on an average day or an average weekend. So that was successful as well. So between the two, it was a pretty successful Free Comic Book Day, and it makes me look forward to next year. Usually I just look forward to it as a fan, but it makes me look forward to what other special things can I maybe do for next year, both online and at an event or a store, which I could hopefully be at. But if I'm not, I'll still have an online sale of some sort, because that worked out pretty well. Yeah, so that's it for now, and I'm going to go, but I hope you had a good Free Comic Book Day, and if you didn't participate this year, maybe you will next year, either as a fan or as a creator, or a little bit of both. This is Gazbot, signing off. All right, well, hi. Just put your butt right on my face. She seems happy. I don't know why the butt has to be on my, I mean, it's not my neck. I guess that's better. You gonna get off? All right. Whew, butt free.